Up until 15 minutes before he made that particular statement, he'd been hedging. Finally, he gave them what they wanted.
Okay, we'll wait for an update on that. And Skip, apparently the convention has, within the last few moments, reversed itself on the controversial BWCA issue. It had first adopted a platform plank favoring the Burton-Vento bill, but then it voted to reconsider. And right now it's still very much up in the air, I guess. Let's go to Mike Walsher live at the Civic Center for an update on that. Mike?
Steve and Skip, this convention gets harder and harder to read all the time. As Skip pointed out, the conventional wisdom would be that on the 10th ballot, after his plea of unity and respect for the endorsement process, you'd think Bob Mattson would have been given the endorsement. Not so. The 10th ballot results came in just about 3 or 4 minutes ago, just as you gentlemen were going on the air. No endorsement got 492 votes. That's 41%. Bob Mattson received 694 votes. He has fallen now to 56%. At one time, he was up just within a couple of points of 60%, very near 60%. He fell down to about 58%. Now he is down to 56% after 10 ballots, and we are not sure, have not had time to find out if they are going to go on with that and take an 11th ballot. This afternoon's session was highlighted also by a pretty lively debate and a couple of very close votes over how open the Boundary Waters canoe area ought to be. Delegates shouted, whistled, and hooted throughout the talk over the congressional bills. The Burton-Vento measure would cut the number of motorboat lakes from 124 to 11. That restrictive bill was okayed by a majority of the platform committee, but most northern Minnesotans favor the Overstar bill, which would set up snowmobile routes and allow motors on 92 different lakes.
The bill recognizes that over the years, our state governments and the federal governments have not shown the proper concern and treatment of nature, nor the relationship between human beings and nature itself. One basic reason that government has failed is that it has not come to grips with the environment. That is, there exists a prevailing attitude that nature is a separate substance and is mechanical and often irrelevant to man. The Burton-Vento bill compromise attacks that principle.
And I think that if the 8th District takes a walk, it's not because the people here disagree with what's been done, but it's how it's been done. And I would like to also point out, when we talk about compromise, Congressman Jim Oberstart has compromised 3 times. Where is the compromise on the other side?
The Burton-Vento bill, the one to restrict motorboats, passed, but just barely. 60.4% was the total, just a fraction more than needed. But hold everything. About 45 minutes ago, there was a move to reconsider the BWCA because of questions about some procedural rulings by the chairman. A secret ballot was taken, a second ballot on the same hot issue, and this time, neither bill received 60% of the votes. Burton-Vento came close, 55%, but that's not enough. Thus, the DFL has no official position one way or the other on the controversial Boundary Waters canoe area. Joining me now is Ed Zabinski, who has been active in this issue for some time. Ed, what message does this send to the DFL?
I think basically it says that this issue is very heated and divisive, and that any candidate, DFL candidate, would have a hard time in this particular area trying to endorse or support a plank in the platform that's as divisive as this one is.
What does this tell Don Fraser?
Well, there's a lot of emotion behind both of these issues, and I would guess that he has to do a little liaison work with a lot of the outstate areas.
Are you responsive to that sort of work in fence mending?
Yes, if he does it to anything kind of reasonability and responsibility, sure, we're always happy to listen to him.
All right, thank you, Ed Zabinski, who's been active in the Boundary Waters area, a multiple use supporter. The convention going on, perhaps you can see behind me, we don't know if they're going to take an 11th ballot soon on Mattson. They have not gotten to the abortion issue, and they may not. Reporting with a live eye, Mike Walter, WCCO Television News, at the DFL State Convention in St. Paul.
Mike, can you still hear me, Mike?
Sure can.
Mike, I'm wondering if you can sense if there is any rationale for Mattson right now.
Jim, delegates say that DFL conventions wouldn't be if they were not loud and raucous and just ripe with controversy. And tonight, a Minneapolis congressman found himself at the center of a storm of protest. Endorsed candidates take the stage, and Don Fraser... Order. A Fraser sign was ripped up. There was a short scuffle. And up in the gallery, about 500 people who were bussed in from northern Minnesota whistled, shouted, and waved signs saying, "No Fraser."
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that's what you are.
Fraser's nemesis, the coalition of anti-abortionists and people who want the Boundary Waters canoe area kept open, held up the doings for several minutes. James Oberstar, congressman from the Boundary Waters area, pleaded for quiet.
But I do ask you to give him the privilege which is his to address this convention. Thank you.
But it didn't work. Gallery demonstrators and some out-state delegates walked out. When a flushed Fraser finally got to speak, he wasted no time in calling for a split party to back him.
I know that before I can convince a majority of Minnesotans to vote for me, I must first convince all of you that the bonds that tie us together are far greater than the differences that seem to pull us apart. We provide the vehicle for people who are neither rich nor well-known to run for office, and then in victory to function with our support in an effective and responsive way.
Senator Wendell Anderson's reception was more positive.
We're divided on some issues because those issues divide the people of this state, and this party is an open expression of the people's will. We have strong beliefs in this party. We do not gain our strength from apathy or indifference. Our strength is in intensity, in activity, in fervor, in commitment. On the day we cease to be a party of controversy, we will have lost the character that gives us our special vitality and our success.
Anderson told delegates compromise is okay, and he tried to tie himself, it seemed, to Fraser, who's faring better in the polls. While DFLers are known to love a fight, of course, it is clear that Don Fraser faces a Senate primary race against Bob Short. Without the full or even the near full support of his party, there is deep resentment of Don Fraser in outstate areas, and Short is surely to try to tap that resentment, Jim.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. The events of this evening were clear evidence that the convention was in no mood to listen to a call for unity.